Well, it's different, that's for sure. Hi guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader and welcome to Novelty Chats, where on a Sunday I talk about bookish things and continue chatting with you in the comments below. Today we are talking about dyslexia on Booktube, and what I mean by that is really kind of how Booktube is maybe a little bit different for me because of my dyslexia, kind of some of the challenges that would present themselves, but also trying to encourage people with dyslexia to start Booktube if they want to, and trying to reassure them and give them a bit of advice. Mug of the week is my Starbucks, the We Are Here, what do you call these mugs? You know what you call it? The Magic Kingdom one. I love these mugs for two reasons. They're a really good size, they're a really nice thickness to drink out of, and they are stackable no matter where you get them in the world. You get them from the Starbucks, they all come with the place and different designs, but they stack and they're nice in the kitchen. Quick reading update, I finished Blue Window, loved it, there's a review coming soon, and I started The Scandalous Sisterhood of Prick Willow Place. I'm also thoroughly enjoying this and hopefully I'm going to finish it today, and again I'll let you know when I'm done. Now, getting straight on into this. Now, this was kind of sparked in my imagination because I seen a response to an Ariel Bissett video, and then I went and watched the Ariel Bissett video, and it was, do you need an English degree to be on Booktube? And obviously the answer is no. But she herself is doing a master's in English literature, and she was kind of talking about how it kind of affects her. And I was thinking, English degree? I didn't even get my English GCSE, which is, if you don't know, in the UK, our kind of testing that everyone does at 15, 16, that are a very important part of our education system. So I didn't even get my English literature GCSE. So I thought that maybe talking more about this would be interesting to some people. I want to give you a quick background of kind of my reading background and my sort of English study background so that you kind of know going into this, because it's kind of connected to the same topic. As a young child, I loved to read. Now, I wasn't diagnosed with dyslexia till I was 12 or 13, so we didn't know that I was dyslexic. My mum thought there was something wrong. I read a lot. I could read like what I should be reading, but for pleasure I read below it because I obviously didn't want to be straining over the pleasure, but I did. I loved to read and I was really interested in books and stories. But once I hit secondary school, I very quickly became picked on for reading below what everyone else was reading. And it wasn't necessarily full-on bullying, it wasn't necessarily nasty, but I was just in the process of starting to get recognised as, okay, there's something not right here. I was very self-conscious about it, and I was getting comments like, you're only reading that now. I read that like 5 years ago when I was like 9 years old. Or you're reading baby books and things like that. And I don't think I was. Like, I was reading Series of Unfortunate... Oh my goodness, I knocked the camera. Calm down. I was reading Series of Unfortunate Events at like 12, 13... but they're meant for like 8, 9-year-olds. Like, I was reading picture books, but I was lower than my peers, and especially I went to a grammar school as well, so a lot of my peers were sort of higher up on the educated, well-read, smarter, if you want to put it, whatever spectrum. So I was kind of a stick out for reading below my age because a lot of them were reading above their age, so it kind of stuck out and I was very self-conscious about that. I never done very well in English because of my dyslexia, and I did scrape a C in English GCSE, but I failed my English literature GCSE, which, if you don't know the difference, we do English and English literature in the UK as two separate things. English language is more like spelling, grammar, punctuation, comprehension, that kind of thing. And then English literature is where you study a book or a play and analyse it, and that was the one that I failed. And it was, thankfully, I enjoyed the books that we read. We went to Call a Mockingbird, we read Inspector Calls as our play, we looked at Shakespeare, we looked at loads of poetry, and I did enjoy it. But when it came to writing down the answers, I couldn't do it. I could discuss all day long with you the character of Atticus Finch and what he stood for, but you asked me to write it down on paper and I can't do it because of my dyslexia. So I failed my English literature, and obviously because of that I couldn't study it any further than that. So I dropped English as a subject at 15. After that, studying became a very big part of my life, studying my other subjects that I had continued to keep on. Because of my dyslexia, obviously academia was hard, but I knew I wanted to teach. To teach, you need to get a degree. To get a degree, you needed to get, well, in Northern Ireland there's only one place you can do a teaching degree, and it is extremely hard to get into. And my school actually told me not even to apply because there was no chance I was getting in. So I spent really 2 or 3 years studying all the time, and I did scrape the grades to get in. And then in uni, obviously, I was studying a lot of the time, not much time for reading. It was only when I finished uni that I really started to get back into reading as a hobby, and I found Booktube. And I started watching a lot, and then I was like, do you know what, I'm going to start a channel. Sure, if nobody watches it 3 videos in, I can quit it. But thankfully some people did watch it, and I'm still here and still really enjoying the experience with you guys. So that's kind of my background on like my education with dyslexia and English literature and books and all those kind of things, because I think that really ties in with the topic. And my dyslexia leaves me with some difficulties when it comes to reading and Booktube. Obviously, when I read something, I'm not necessarily getting the same experience as someone else, and I feel that is obvious. Some of the times I struggle to read certain texts. It takes me a long time to read books, and I forget them almost instantly. I will finish, like, that's why I reread so much. I reread my favourite books all the time, because even though I know I love it and I know that it's one of my favourites, I couldn't really tell you the story. I know people are like that without dyslexia, and some dyslexics have good memory, but part of my dyslexia is my memory for written word. Like if I read it, it doesn't stick in my brain. So I find that a real struggle, which makes reviewing hard, because I feel like I get a completely different experience to everyone else when I read. I find it very hard to, even a couple of days after, remember all the little bits of the plot, all the character names, that kind of thing. And also, I do feel it comes into the lack of education. I failed my English literature GCSE, which is comparing, contrasting, analysing books. I failed it. And there are people on Booktubes with master's degrees in English literature, and I feel like we're not reading the same books anyway, but I feel like their reviews are much more than I can ever give you. My reviews and my wrap-ups and things are mostly based on enjoyment more than anything else. On Goodreads, I don't break it down into character and plot and writing style. How much did I enjoy this book? Was it okay? A 3-star. Will I definitely reread it again? I loved it. It's a 5-star. I found it horrendous and I couldn't even finish it. It's a 1-star. And I go off feeling more than analysing the book, because I feel like A, I don't enjoy that, and B, I have no real right to do so because I am not in any shape or form an expert on it. So that really holds me back from doing reviews, because I feel like there's no way that I could do it justice, so why even bother when there's so many people who could do it justice, either on blogs or YouTube or Goodreads. Now, another thing that I mentioned is being a slow reader. I am a slow reader, and part of that is because I read slowly, and part of that is because what I said, the memory thing, and I can glaze over very easily and text becomes very confusing. So there may be a paragraph or page that I have to read several times. If you have a Kindle, or even the Kindle app on your phone or whatever, you'll know that there's a feature for like how long left in the book or how long left in the chapter, and it averages, I guess, how long it takes you per page and knows how many pages are left, and it gives you a time. Well, when I read my Kindle, no joke, it goes up. Like, the timer slowly goes up. It's so funny. I could be reading for half an hour and it still says there's a minute more left of the book than there is before. And that's because I have to keep going back and rereading, and I could take 10 minutes for one page and the next page I could read through in 30 seconds. So I thought that was going to be a major barrier in my dyslexia, but it turned out it hasn't been. Other people are slow readers. Other people they do Booktube, but reading is not their number one hobby, even, let alone priority in life. Well, I have a job in a house and friends and everything else, but other people have way more hectic jobs than I do, and children and all sorts of things. So really, loads of people don't read as much as you think. And there's some books I finish 3 books, and some months I finish 12 books. No one really seems to matter that much. It doesn't really seem to mind. No one's going to slag you off if you do a wrap up at the end of the month with 2 books, or you don't do a wrap up because you're like, I haven't read anything, I'm just going to leave it the next month and put it all together. People really don't mind, and that is something that I would encourage people who have dyslexia or are just slow readers and think they don't read enough to do Booktube. People really don't mind. There's plenty of tags and discussions and things that you can do if you're not reading or don't want to do reviews. Like, I don't really enjoy doing reviews, not only because I don't enjoy them myself, because I don't like the process of analysing the book in that way, but I also don't feel as if my reviews are really that helpful to anyone. So I just don't do reviews. I talk about my books and my wrap-ups, and I give you an overall view of the summary and what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, but I don't do really in-depth reviews, and that's completely okay. I would say to anyone who is thinking of possibly doing a Booktube channel but think they can't for any reason, I would say go out and do it. People really don't care. You cannot do, I know loads of booktubers, big and small, that just don't do tags. They just don't enjoy them. I do enjoy tags, so I do them. People don't do wrap-ups because they think they're kind of not long enough to talk about a book. That's fine. People like me, I don't do reviews because I don't enjoy them, and I don't really think that my reviews will help anyone, so that's fine. There's people who don't like doing TBRs. I don't do TBRs because I pick a book pick one, read it, pick another one. I don't plan in advance. There are people who don't like hauls because they don't see the point of talking about a book unless you have read it. So it's really up to you what you do and what you don't do. I can speak from experience and say that I have been nothing but encouraged and welcomed and supported, even though some things are more difficult with me because of my dyslexia. And I can say that your reading pace will not really affect your channel or your viewership. People come because they either identify with your reading tastes or they like you as a person. And learning difficulties in any shape or form, not just dyslexia, any sort of literary specific difficulty, or physical disability, or your gender or sexuality, that really doesn't matter on Booktube. And I think that's quite a beautiful thing, and I think it's not something that we talk about enough, that it really is quite a diverse platform. I know obviously everything could be more diverse and things, and most of the bigger booktubers are a certain type of person, but Booktube as a community, and I don't really watch the big booktubers, that's a tongue twister in itself. The little small booktubers that I have really formed friendships with and really would identify as friends. There's a whole range of people in age and gender and where they live and sexuality and disabilities, either illness, mental illness. It's just a really wide range of people, and I promise you that if you start, you'll be supported. And if you don't have anyone else to support you, I'll support you. You can get me on Twitter, Goodreads, send me a message, comment on this. If you want any more information about like setting up a Booktube channel or anything, like I'm here to help, and I will definitely support you in any way I can. And it's just a conversation that I wanted to open up with you guys. I've done dyslexia videos before, and I find that people always have questions. That is completely fine. I am open to questions of any sort, as long as they're worded nicely. Please don't be nasty. Questions on dyslexia or Booktube, I am more than happy to answer for you, or to find some part of the internet or someone who can answer them for you if I can't. That's kind of all that I wanted to say. I know it's been a bit ranty. I'm sorry, but that's the way these videos tend to go. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.